God, thank you for today. Thank you for another week of just experiencing you in multiple ways and getting a chance to talk to you and commune with you and talk to our brothers and sisters, God. God, we ask that this podcast, this episode, just be edifying to us and the listener, God. Just speak through us, clean up any issues that we may have trying to get words out. Give us the words to say, and help us just be a benefit to the body, God. We love you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Facts.
What is up, everybody?
What's up?
This is Preacher's Hour Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeffrey Copeland.
And I am Brandon Jackson.
This is episode 50.
Man. Oh, this is crazy. This
5-0, man.
2 more episodes. But we're going to hit a year before our 52nd, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be
of
a
Friday?
week before, yeah.
Man.
It's actually next Friday. This coming Friday is going to be.
No.
Yeah, it is October 9th.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to do a huge post on Instagram.
We need to have like a birthday party or something. Invite the whole town.
Yeah.
Every one of our listeners, all 18 of y'all, just coming through.
All 18 of y'all. Oh, that's great, man.
This is crazy though. I'm grateful. I'm mostly grateful for the fact that like we've conversated every Sunday for a year.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's crazy. I didn't know how smart you were, Jeff.
I'm not that smart.
I didn't think you.
I appreciate it.
Jeff is all you guys know. Jeff is acting smart, so I don't have to defend your wisdom.
I appreciate that, man. I didn't know like how much you knew. Like, there's so much that you know about the Bible that
Shocking.
I'm serious.
No,
like,
for me, I'm like, really?
It's crazy, bro. Like, I'm like, oh dang, you be teaching me stuff all the time.
I don't even. And the crazy thing is, I don't actually. I know that I don't know a lot. That's why, like, Akazel has a line.
I know a lot. I know enough to know I don't know a lot. Or whatever.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the amount that I know, which is, it even for my wife, like it's intimidating to her sometimes. She's like, "But you just know." I'm like, I don't know how I know. Like, if I'm honest, there's a lot of things.
We have the counselor, bro.
Facts.
He will remind us of things.
He brings it back to our memory, and it is so helpful.
Yeah.
So he's been good. But thank you, man. Thank you for a year.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
absolutely.
This is the one before the year.
No, that's super crazy.
Gotta put that on there, man. 1 year down. I didn't think we were gonna make it this far, but anyways. So today we're gonna be.
I'm glad you had faith in us. Good Lord.
I mean, when you think about where we started, though.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean,
that's what I'm gonna post.
Yes, the first episode. Don't do it.
We're sitting.
Don't do it.
I gotta find the video. I think it's on my phone, but of us sitting in the CLC in that green room with them lapel mics.
And the Zoom recorders.
Yours didn't work, so you could only hear from us. You sounded hella far away. Oh man.
Oh, that was so trash.
Gosh, man.
But the crazy thing is, I was even telling Jess when she wants to talk about, or she's going to start her this journal. I can't tell you what it is, but she's doing her own type of journal, and in this journal she's creating. She was like, "Oh, it's not what I want it to be. It's not what everybody else has." And I remember telling her, like, you just got to start. Like, just start.
You just got to start.
If you start, then you
Literally, God's going to do the rest.
Man, things that you didn't even think about you would need. Mm-hmm. And then things that you have,
the fact that we have what we have, if you guys could see the setup behind the cameras, oh my gosh, man. And just.
We've come a long way.
I mean, we got new furniture.
As you can see.
As y'all can see.
Or as y'all can hear.
Yeah. If you're on the audio side of things.
But it's crazy. But if and I just want to encourage you guys who are out there who are trying to do something. I just got a call from a friend of mine, Mitch, who was like, "Yo, I want to start a podcast. Could you like give me some wisdom on like, how to or when to start?" And I was like, "Bro, there's really no when.
Just do it.
Just do it." And he was like, "Yeah, but I want to get this. I want to get that." And I'm like, honestly, bro, it'll
piece by piece.
It'll come.
Man,
It'll all come to fruition. But if you don't start it, if you try to plan out everything and try to get every single thing perfect before you start, you're never gonna start. So, to you, my listener, if you want to do something like Nike, just do it.
Brandon Greer Shout out to you, dog.
Yeah,
It's like his main thing.
dude, relentless with
Just
that.
do it.
Like it's nonchalant. Just do it.
Just do it.
What do you mean? I'm talking about saving the world. Yeah, just do it.
You should get started. So, good topic today.
I think so.
You and me and my wife had a conversation Thursday.
Yes.
About this, man.
I was so excited.
Yeah. Brandon was. So my wife sent me this link to We Are Church, their practices. We Are Church is a network of house churches started by one of our favorite people, Francis Chan. I mean, his Letters to the Church book is sitting right here. Still got it. I'm almost done with it too. But so he started a network of house churches called We Are Church. And so my wife found on their website, found their website number one, and then like was reading their practices, like their what they live by, their philosophy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so she sent it to me, and so I was reading it at like midnight on Wednesday, and I was like, "This is amazing! Oh my god!" So I sent it to Brandon at like midnight, and I forgot I sent it to him.
I literally didn't know. I didn't know that you had sent it. No, I did know. I remember getting the alert on my phone. My phone vibrated, and I was like, "Oh man!" I half sleep, just peeked open an eye. I was like, "This dude what?" Like,
you weren't meant to like just get to it whenever.
I was
you get
like,
to
"What
it.
the?" And then I opened it, and I was like, "Oh heck no! I'm not reading all this right now." Fam, it was like 18 thumb scrolls.
It's several.
I was like,
yeah,
and I'm talking about like full swipe from bottom to top.
You just with one.
I was like, okay, nope, not today.
Yeah,
and then I forgot about it.
I did too.
Totally
forgot the moment I hit send. I was like, anyway, back to my reading, and I forgot I had sent it to you.
But when I started reading that, man, then a couple days later, or the next day, no, it was.
I think I sent it to you maybe Tuesday night, and then you sent it. You responded Thursday.
Yeah.
You were like, "This man called me like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Jeff, are you busy?" And I hate that question because I wasn't.
Which is funny because I felt it in.
I was not busy.
I felt it in your spirit, and I heard it in the tone of voice.
I was playing, and I had just worked all day. I was decompressing, playing some Xbox. Are you busy? Well, I mean, it depends.
And I was like, I don't need you to go anywhere. I just want to talk.
I was like, oh, thank God. Jesus, thank you, Lord.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and then you're like, bro, that article you sent me, and I was like,
my God.
Oh yeah, and then his excitement got me re-excited,
dude. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a link in our show description.
Yeah,
and you guys just give it a chance. Start reading it. I couldn't stop reading it. We had prayer the next morning. It was like midnight, and I'm like, I don't care. It was just I got to keep reading this, and it's just there's 6. I think there's 6 of them. There's 6 core practices, philosophies. They're the core practices of the church, and it's very compelling.
Yes,
I think
to say the least.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to just at least read it and just consider it. And I don't see how you could argue against it. You may not want to do it or agree with it.
Yeah.
But I don't see how you could be like, nah, this is off. They're wrong. I don't see how you could come to that conclusion. So
first of all, because it's biblical. Like what they're talking about is biblical.
It's all biblical. So we're gonna just focus on one of the 6 practices. We're just gonna focus on the third one, which is let me read it. It says, everyone discipled and discipling.
Yes.
So this is going to be a focus of discipleship, which we've kind of talked about a little bit, but like haven't dove into because we're not good at it. Me and Brandon we literally yesterday just had like a little mini training intro into it.
Oh yeah. A lot happened yesterday. That's crazy.
Yesterday I had so many things I had to do yesterday, and it all got done. And I was like, wow, it was a crazy day.
It was productive.
That was a very productive day.
Which is crazy.
I ain't been that productive in a minute. And I was like,
that's not a good thing, but okay.
I mean, I've been productive, but not that
productive.
Sustained production for a whole day. It was just a lot. Anyway, so so there's a reason why we haven't really focus on it, and why honestly we're not doing it because we're not good at it and we're afraid of it, and it seems like something that is really hard, and it's like, oh, that's for people who that's their gift, or like, like, oh, I'm not comfortable with it, or whatever. Like, there's really no excuse.
No, there's not.
Okay, because it's in the Bible. Like, this is the only thing that every single believer is required to do, is commanded to do, is to make disciples.
Which is weird, because then I'm thinking, like, is it, if you are reluctant, or if you're not making disciples intentionally, like you're like saying, no, this is not my gift, or you're trying to avoid it at all costs, it begs me to ask the question, are you really a believer? Like, do you really love Jesus? Like, if Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments.
Yo.
And it's like,
I swear, dude, we love making statements like that. Man.
Because I'm not
doing this. Are you really saved? Is you a believer? I mean, it's a good question.
And I'm not directing this to like anyone. I'm directing it to myself. It's like, how could I say that I love Jesus and then never do the one thing he commanded everyone to do? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can't. And at least in my own heart, I mean, I guess you could convince yourself that you can not make disciples and God will still be cool with you. But that's just a weird type of disobedience.
I don't know. I think, I mean, I can't really argue with you. I'm trying to, but I'm like, I mean, it's not like you're going to go to hell if you don't make disciples. I think God will be disappointed as heck.
But if you're intentional about it, like if you're like,
that's a good point.
I'm not going
it's
to
one
make
thing
disciples.
If you like didn't really know, no one really told you about it. But if you've been like, after you listen to this podcast,
turn it off now. Turn it off now.
Hey, you may want to stop now, delete it,
because you will be held accountable.
You ain't got a choice. You've heard,
because even for us, we don't have a choice. Like
we don't.
We went through our training, and honestly, I would say like get together with some other believers. We went to part 1, but I would say get together with some other believers and train on how to make disciples, because we've gotten comfortable with converting people. I think we talked about this on our last episode. We've gotten very comfortable with getting people to come to Jesus and like start the relationship, but like we think they're. I don't mean. Yeah, we talked about last week as well, as far as like believing in your heart. I can't tell if you're doing that. But see me in 6 months, and we'll definitely let you know.
We'll see how.
If there's been some type of conversion, but that only comes through discipleship. You're never gonna see that through a person that like you tell them about Jesus one day and then they go about the you could pray about them. You
all right, see you in heaven. Like just
and then like on Judgment Day talking about that person will be like, Jeff, remember we prayed that prayer together? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, man. We're going to the gate together. Yep. And you get there and God's like, hey, Jeff, who's this?
Oh, my gosh.
They're like, yeah, I prayed.
He prayed the prayer that one time. Never checked up on again.
God's going to be like, yeah, he never talked to me after that.
Yeah, ever.
Ever.
Never heard from him once.
He died at 99. He sent me one text. So I think the idea, I mean, what I've been challenged to do is that I have to continue to attempt to make disciples, and just be intentional of like making that a priority in my life, which should be a priority for every believer in the church to make disciples.
Yeah.
And we're not good at it. A lot of us aren't good at it. And one reason being, that's actually one of the practices, or they talk about it in the practices of We Are Church, is we only have Christian friends.
Yep.
Like,
which you've heard me and Brandon say many times.
Yeah. Every one of, and the day of our training, and I wish we would have done this as like everyone, like corporately, to just go through your phone and like see how many people are in there who are non-believers, or like known non-believers, or people who have not been discipled. And so I did it on my own. I went through my phone, and in order for me to initiate discipleship or even evangelism with a non-believer who was in my contacts, I would literally have to basically like start from scratch, because I haven't talked to this person in so long. And I'm talking about, every person, I'm just like going on the list, like, how is there nobody in my phone who doesn't believe in Jesus, who doesn't go to church, or whatever the case may be? I have not. How is it that I've not talked to them? I haven't texted them. Not even happy birthday, dog. Like, ooh. I ain't hitting but an HBD. Like, what? Ooh. So I'm looking at my contacts, and I just become automatically remorseful, and I'm just repenting. Like, God, I'm sorry. I didn't pay attention. I was neglecting your work, and I don't want to neglect it any longer. So I'm now being intentional about any friend that I have. Hopefully I have friends listening to the podcast. So just know when you get a text message from your boy, you know what the intent is. I want you to go to heaven. But I want to check up on you as a person. I need to know like how you're doing, how your kids are doing, how your family's doing, with the hope that you will hear me out when it comes about Jesus, that you will take time to listen to your boy, have dinner, all that good stuff. But I want you to know like the intent is to not to convert you, but to show you a relationship and what it looks like to follow Jesus. That's like my heart, my soul in doing that. So yeah, I don't have a lot of non-Christian friends.
Yeah, me neither. I'm actually terrified to do that, to look through my, yeah, man, because yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like when you are a Christian and you have this relationship and you're excited about it.
Yeah.
Right. I only want to talk to people who are just as excited as me. Like, if you don't feel like I'm getting to the point where like it's all I talk about. Like it's like my main thing.
Yeah.
So like I don't watch as much sports as I used to. Like I'm running out of things to talk about other than God and Jesus and the Bible.
Politics. Yeah. That never goes over on well.
Yeah, that's never gonna be fun. But so it's like, so it kind of limits who I hang out with, because it's like, what else are we gonna talk about? Dang. You know, eventually I'm gonna be like, so I was reading Jeremiah the other day. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not that I can't relate and not talk about other things that's going on in the world. I'm up to date on things, but it's just like my main thing of enjoyment is honestly talking about God. So
dang, I didn't think about that. Like when I think about like the friend, even when I was going through my contacts, the main thing that any of my homeboys that I used to kick it with talked about were girls. Like just women in general.
I got
like,
one to talk about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
mother of my children.
And not my baby moms. It's my wife.
Yeah.
I guess it could be a good, I just don't know how to ease them into a conversation. Like if they come to me talking about, oh man, you know, Shaniqua and I, man, we was getting it in last night. And then like right in the morning, man, Tamika was ready. I'm like, I don't know what, you sinner.
My face.
I don't know what I would.
Probably not a good idea.
Like leave.
Do you
Tamika
think that's
alone?
Wise?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you should be doing that. I mean, you're 30.
That's true. That is true. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I would conversate with them, and that's my fault.
Yeah, honestly,
that is my fault. Like and this is something that we talked about in the training too. We've distanced ourselves from non-believers when we started getting serious about God, and for many reasons. One, we probably felt like, okay, I don't want to get sucked into this bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
But after we watched the Bible Project's explanation of heaven and earth, and we are believers and Christ lives in us. Back in the Old Testament, if something was unclean and you touched it, you became unclean. But in the New Testament, if you're a believer, if you were cleansed by God, whatever you touch should become clean.
Yes, wherever you go, you're spreading
the kingdom of God. So for us to be scared, for us to be scared that like when we go into environments that we become like that, that's a fear that God did not give to us. That's not of the Father. He told us to go and to create these pockets of heaven everywhere. But instead, we was like, no, I'm taking my pocket of heaven, finding someone else with a pocket of heaven.
You got some heaven? All right, come on.
Like, let's get in here. Let's make our own pocket of heaven, a big one, and all of us could stay.
And that's what we've done. Yeah, and I mean, as you were saying that, I just thought like Jesus, he would call his disciples, and it wasn't like, okay, you're gonna go through like a 12-month training, and then we're gonna send you out. No, it's literally like on the job. Like, okay, come on, let's go to this town, talk to these people. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do this. And they're like, they don't really know a lot. Like they're still like in their
and
sin.
they were like untrained. Like,
That's
they
what
weren't
I'm
even
saying. Like they're not educated. Like they're not like. So he trained them like still in the world.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. Like, yes, you could say like Paul. Okay, Paul, I took you out of the world and then I sent you back. Like, I think that's what a lot of Christians and churches. That's the approach they take.
Yeah,
which I understand. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up. Oh my gosh. My entire like life, my whole childhood in church was, you're told when you're a Christian, when you become a Christian, there's things you don't do, there's places you don't go anymore.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, okay, like I get you. That's makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. But then how are those people where I used to go ever gonna get saved? Like no one, if all of us are not going in there anymore and they're there, I'm just saying, like,
Dang.
And that's
somebody
got to go in there.
And this is what's crazy, because I remember when Lecrae and a bunch of other artists were like trying to get into like secular music, whatnot, and everybody was like hating on him, like. And I remember his album, one of his songs got played at a strip club.
Yep.
And everyone was like,
I think it was Round of Applause. Was that the name of the song?
I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't Round of Applause. That's weird. But
the beat
clap
and the way it claps. That's, if you listen to the words, you're like, why is this in a strip club? But if you just listen to the beat, it was perfect for a strip club.
That makes sense. It makes sense. But whatever it was, like everybody, like all the Christians I knew were like, this, like, why would he want this record to be played in the club? And then he literally went on tour interviewing about that whole incident and was like, when else are they going to hear anything good? When this is where they work, this is where the guys are going, like, and it opened my eyes, like, because even in that point of my life, I was transitioning from being like this righteous or self-righteous, holier than thou, person. And I was angry too. I was like, Lecrae tripping. But now I'm like, nah, like how else will they hear? Like no one's coming to the church just to be like, I need Jesus. You know what? I'm going to the church. No, folks is like, I need to pay my bills. Let me go take these clothes off for someone to throw some money at me. That's the reality.
And no one's telling me that I'm made in the image of God and
facts,
that I have worth.
And the church is not coming here.
Show not.
The church will not come here.
And the church thinks that the church is a building where I need to be at instead of the church coming to me in the form of the people.
Oh, preach that.
I mean, you ain't got to go up in. You could be at least at the front door or something.
At the back door when they go home. Like,
yeah, they'll have their clothes on then.
And you'll be safe.
Yeah.
But I think this is where we got to get to a point where we're saying, nah, we can go inside. We can go to those places where we were pulled from. And I'm not.
Somebody came and got us or something. I don't know. I
mean, eventually. I mean, the truth is, even for a lot of the friends that I have that were in drug addiction, it was someone coming to them and saying, "Yo," even if it wasn't like, Jesus can save you type stuff, but it was, "Yo, I care about you. Like, why do you keep doing this? Don't do this to yourself. Like, let me help you." And they help them in a physical way where it's like, okay, let me take you to this place, this program, and I'm going to walk with you through this. And then during that time, discipleship is happening, which is weird because I don't know. Because we think sometimes that evangelism has to come before discipleship. But then Jesus says, like, count the cost. You can't really count the cost if you're not looking at the full scheme of it. Like,
I don't know if they can't be done simultaneously.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So I think I keep thinking like, it has to be done like evangelism first and then discipleship. And it's like that. I think
it just depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, let me meet your physical need, which you could see as discipleship or part of discipleship. And other times it's like, let me preach this Sermon on the Mount and then, feed 5,000 and yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think we just have to be people who have God in us, and it just comes out all the time. But we do have to be intentional. I think that's the whole point of discipleship, is that it's intentional.
Yes.
Like I'm purposely like inserting myself into your life.
Yes.
To love you, care about you, and like teach you. Now, help me with this, bro. I just thought about this.
I'll try.
Is discipleship only discipleship when it's one believer teaching another believer? If you're not a believer yet, am I discipling you?
I think so. But it's weird. So the reason I say I think so is because the intent is for the person to know Jesus. Now, if you're not a believer, but you're around me, you're gonna see how I do life. You're gonna see. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am putting you in my life intentionally. You may not know Jesus, but you're gonna see what I'm doing. Therefore, you are being discipled. Because even when you accept Christ, I'm not changing what I'm doing. It's still discipleship. So I don't think that it's
I disagree.
I mean, you can. Well, because I don't know.
Because I think discipleship is not like a secret. like the disciple knows he's being discipled. Like he knows who his discipler is. Like this relationship is very clear, right? And you're discipling me in the things of God. It's different than being a mentor.
True.
Right? Like if I'm just, hey man, let me show you some good life advice, a good way to do things, but I'm not ever bringing up God. I'm not intentionally teaching you about him. Am I actually discipling you?
Okay, so in what you're saying, no, but that's not what I took it when you asked me.
Okay.
So what I was thinking is, let's just say you don't know Jesus and I'm trying to get you to know Jesus. I'm going to come into your life and I'm going to talk to you about values and all that kind of stuff, but I'm always going to introduce God. So I'll talk to you and your wife having issues. Well, look, man, honestly, what God has shown me is this, and like read a scripture about how I love my wife, how Christ has called me to like die for her if she needed me to. Like I'm giving you scripture. You don't know Jesus yet. You haven't made a commitment to follow him, but what I'm teaching you is biblical.
But you're literally giving him like overtly Jesus. Because what you just, So to me, you're evangelizing in that moment. You're teaching him the gospel.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I can feel
it. So now that I think about it, I think evangelism does come before discipleship.
Yeah, because it can't be anything else.
Yeah, because discipleship literally is like, look, now you're trying to be a Christian. I'm showing you how to do that.
Two things, or one thing to add to that. I totally agree now. Because with discipleship comes discipline. I can't discipline a non-believer.
Yeah,
I can't tell you like
that's where the words are actually related.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it clicked in my mind. In order for someone to be discipled, I have to be able to discipline you and tell you, bro, you're doing the wrong thing.
That ain't it.
That's not the way you do it. Oh, well, you can't tell me what to do. Well, you know what? You're right, because you're not a believer. So if you don't want to, if you don't want this to happen, then go about your way. But I'm going to tell you, this is the best way for you. And if you agree to that, then you agree to that. If you don't, then, deuces. I mean, I'm not saying deuces. You're saying deuces.
Right.
So that's the idea.
Yeah. Okay. That was very helpful.
That was a good combo.
That was really helpful, like for me to understand, like, okay, yeah, there's a difference between evangelism and discipleship. And I think evangelism, it's funny. We started out saying, no, you can do it at the same time.
That's what, and this
thank you,
also discipleship.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, man.
Like we're learning, and we told you guys this before. We literally OJT this whole podcast. Like we are learning, and this conversation, like we just told you, you're hearing this on a Wednesday, but it's Sunday, and we literally just came across this article or these practices from We Are Church earlier this week.
We just had some intro training on discipleship. Yesterday. For us, like literally yesterday. So we're still even processing like this. That's why when you hear us talking, we're literally like verbally out loud processing what we believe and what we need to know and need to do and like get our theology correct. I think it's important. Like I don't know if theology is necessary for everybody, but I do think good theology can make a difference in your life versus bad theology.
Oh, definitely.
So
you got to know why you're doing it. And
so I think the discipleship theology is important. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to dive into the article itself.
Yeah.
And we'll be back.
See you in a second.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
This is a commercial for Preacher's Hour.
How to pay the bills.
Yeah, our Patreon, guys. So we talked about it a little bit in some episodes, but this is the actual commercial for it. So we have a Patreon. They have a website as well as an app that you can get. And we have 2 tiers on our Patreon. If you know how Patreon works, if you watch other YouTubers, everyone has it. My brother has one. Heck of people are using them. So we have a donation tier, which is $3 a month. You don't get any extra perks. You're literally just helping us out. We just would love it.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
And then we have a $5 a month tier. And that one, you would get access to our YouTube live that we will do. So we're going to start doing, we did an Instagram live before. We're going to start doing YouTube lives. And they'll only be for our $5 a month Patreons. And they'll be able to do like live Q&As with us. And it'll just be really interactive. So if you don't want to miss out on that, hit on our Patreon real quick. The link will be in the description of our episodes. It's patreon.com/preachershour. If you need more information, hit us up on Instagram.
Yeah, help us out.
Yeah, man. All right, back to your regularly scheduled program. We are back from the break.
The break?
So, I wanted to spend the last half of this like really looking at We Are Church's practices that are on this. So let me just read the first couple paragraphs of this. I think it's just good to think about. So the title of this section is Everyone Discipled and Discipling. So everyone is called to make disciples. We are all called to share the gospel with non-believers in hopes that they would follow Jesus. We are all called to take responsibility for the spiritual care of other believers, right? But discipleship is hard and messy.
Facts.
It involves intentionally getting to know someone, having hard conversations when sin is evident, working through conflict, and spending extra time with them when life gets hard. Our temptation in the church has been to replace discipleship with various programs. If there is a married couple struggling, we might often suggest they read a book, enroll in a marriage class, or go on a retreat. But what they need most, not that those things aren't good, but what they need most is older couples who love Jesus to come alongside of them and do life with them through life's challenges. Though these programs could be helpful, we often hide behind them and ignore our responsibility to make disciples. We intentionally restrain ourselves from starting classes or programs that could start making people feel like discipleship isn't needed as much. It's not that these programs would be bad, but they might undermine what is best and most important. I'm going to stop there.
Say that.
Yeah, man.
Dog, see, this is... I'm going to let you go first because you read that whole thing and you deserve to speak. But when I read this, I don't know how you do not get convicted. How you... Like, I'm not... I'm trying to respect everyone. I don't have anything against big church, but I do see how this is super duper important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I don't know if I've actually seen this in my church experience, like actually seen it happen, except for some instances in my life recently when I come to AV and doing life with like Uncle Rod and Auntie Nicole, and then like helping me and my wife with difficult issues, and like I've seen the other side. I've seen the programs. And again, I like how they make sure it's clear. It's not that these things are bad.
No, they're not.
Right? But they're not best. I think what's best is like true discipleship, intentionally being in each other's lives.
And I would even say it's best, not just because it helps the person going through the issue or the struggle, but it helps the discipler.
Yes.
Like
both sides
benefit. Like if I put you in a program, and even if you come out that program addiction free or marriage restored, all that good stuff, I as a discipler didn't get to see that. I didn't get to see God work through that. I didn't get to see the miracle of that. And then I don't have the ability to to speak into your experience
Mm.
because I didn't go through it with you.
Wow.
I'm
That's
like
good.
on the outside looking in. Like I'm on the outside looking at what God did. Like, oh man, you guys made it through. Fantastic. Now, what?
Yeah, I think what the programs and things end up doing is they focus too much on the practical side and not the
A
spiritual
spiritual.
side.
I agree.
Because I think discipleship should be very spiritual.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's practical parts of it. Obviously, you're meeting in person, you're
Mm-hmm.
meeting in people's physical spaces and things like that. But like you said, it's a spiritual connection between the discipler and the disciple.
It literally says, we are called to take responsibility for the spiritual care of other believers.
That's good.
This is the part that we miss. This is putting someone in a program, and there are Christian programs out there, and I think they would do a good job of leading you spiritually through whatever program they have you in. But there's still a little bit of a disconnect because number one, you're not going to stay there forever in this program.
Yep.
Number two, even if you get to know people, you have to split apart. And then you have to go back to regular life. So now you've gone through this program that has helped you,
Yes.
but you got to go back to regular life. And when things get hard, you have to rely on the program that taught you certain things that the people around you don't know anything about because they didn't get to experience the program.
Man, the programs are temporary, and then something that you said is like go back to regular life. Discipleship should be
Regular life.
Like they shouldn't be separate.
Dude.
Like you and I are like hanging out with each other as part of our regular life.
It is.
Like we're literally gonna leave this podcast, wake up tomorrow morning, and be at prayer tomorrow at 6 a.m, and we're gonna do that again Wednesday and Friday, and we're gonna see each other at church with AV. We're gonna see each other Saturday or Sunday. Like, so we're just doing regular life with each other, and we're discipling each other. I think that's what the programs miss.
Yeah.
Is that, like you said, like you went through this program, it's temporary, it was good for you, cool, you read this book, okay, cool, but then you come out of that, and I don't know if that like changed you to where it's gonna stick.
True.
Versus like I'm gonna be in your life forever.
Forever, yeah.
And so I'm gonna be able to be like, hey, remember we talked about this?
Yes.
You know, hey, look, we pointed like,
and
it's
even
a continual thing.
Being able to say like to the person, even if it's like marriage class or a marriage thing that you went through with another believer in your life, if they said, remember we went through this and you said. You know what I'm saying? Like we just talked about, like let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
This is something that God tells us. Anything more than that, anything after that, is evil. So if you're in a counseling session with someone and they don't know you, they could have said something at the program, and then they come back, and then no one knows what they said at the program. So then you don't have a reference to say you said to keep them accountable. And also like just the fact that discipleship requires discipline. As we said right before the break, discipleship requires discipline. You can't discipline someone who you don't really know what they've gone through. But if I went through it with you, I can say, no, remember this?
Yeah,
we've been here before. Yeah, you need to do this. We've gotten past this point. I remember even when Patient was helping me in finances, and he would be like, Jackson, what are you doing? We have literally talked about this like several times. Come on, like you can do this. And then at one point was literally like checking up on me, like, give me your phone, open up your bank account app, and let me see what's going on. I was like, dang, all right. And you're like, okay, this we talked about this we talked about this. Why are you still doing this? And it hurt, but at the same time, I was like, I understand, and you're not going nowhere, so I can't.
You know what's crazy is that I was literally thinking about that example of you with Patient and finances. I'm like, I can't say it though. And then you literally said it right after I thought it. I was like, let's go, Holy Spirit.
It's so crazy, but
that's wild.
And the fact, and even now, because like I just started the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. My wife and I just started it, and that wouldn't have come about if it hadn't been for Patient. Like we were doing all we could with him, and it not that it wasn't working, but it's like there are tools that I need to structure myself. But even going through this, I'm not going through this without him or without like my family, like the people who are just, I'm not going out. So and many people have already went through it. Like you've gone through it. I think, what's the name just went through it. Will and Alexis went through it a while ago. So now that I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through this. And if I have a question, I come to you guys.
Exactly.
I love the fact that I can say, hey, I can come to you directly and talk to you in person rather than like making a phone call to a doctor somewhere in San Diego to talk about, hey, my wife or calling someone who's not available. You know what I'm saying? Like being a disciple. And it even said that too. Like it gets messy and something else. It gets hard and messy.
It's hard and messy.
Like I might have to call Jeff and be like, yo, I suck at this thing, bro. Like, could you help me do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
I can't get through this by myself. But going through a program, it's just not the best.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Not that it's not good, but it's not best. And I think we should be striving for best, especially when it comes to the kingdom. So continuing in there, this is We Are Church getting specific about what they do. They say, in our church, the pastors are not responsible for discipling everyone, but rather they will each disciple a few and then ensure that those disciples are also discipling a few. And for those who are new to the faith, though they might not be fully responsible for the spiritual care of another person, they are actively engaging in evangelistic efforts and being trained to take responsibility for others.
Goodness.
So I think that's just kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, you may not, if you're new to this thing, I don't know if you should be discipling.
Facts.
But you can definitely evangelize because you have experience in that. You've been evangelized.
You can use your own testimony.
So you can say, hey, bro, listen, I just got this, but like, so, and then along the way and simultaneously you're being trained because you're being discipled.
Yes.
So then you're getting that experience by being discipled.
So good.
And then you get to go disciple somebody else.
Dude,
that you're evangelizing to. Like, I just think it's not rocket science. It seems like duh, but like it's super dope as a concept because I think what we have, unfortunately, in probably every church, except for this one that I know of, except for We Are Church, you could even say AV as well.
True.
Is that we have a pastor and we basically all feel, even though we won't say it, that it's that pastor's job to disciple everybody, to make sure everyone's being discipled, and it's his responsibility. You got to take care of it. And I used to think about this when I was at my old church, and I'd be like, so I remember like it would just come up. Matthew 28 would come up all the time. Go ye therefore and make disciples. And I'm like, we're not doing this. Like I didn't have a full concept of everything that I have now.
But you knew.
But I just remember being like,
no one's.
So this counts? Like being at this Bible study class or whatever. This is
disciples. And even that, like, if you're honest, that's not discipleship.
Nah, bro.
Like going to Bible study, it could be a part of discipleship, but even in the way that we've done it, does not give way to real discipleship. No. Because someone is monologuing most of the time. Yeah. Someone is monologuing, and there's like a time for questions. But it's not like, watch how I do this.
It's not doing life.
It's not what?
It's not doing life.
No, it's not doing life.
It's literally you come here once a week for a short amount of time. Okay, we'll see you guys next week, blah, blah, blah. Like, again, not bad, but not the best. And not so, like, it also, what it basically does is it limits the responsibility of discipleship on a few people for the whole church. So the associate minister is probably leading Bible study. Maybe you have one person who's not, but they're like really knowledgeable, some elder in the church, they're doing it. But everybody else in the church, 95% of the church is just going, if they even come. And if we're honest, you probably have 15% of your actual congregation faithfully coming to Bible study.
Dude.
Right? So it's a very small percentage of the church actually being discipled or discipling. Both ways. So like no one's really getting or discipling.
No. And the biggest problem I see with that model is that we don't get a chance to see growth in the people that have proclaimed or professed Jesus Christ. Because even them, they may be eager in the beginning, like, oh, I accepted Christ and like my life's on a new path. And then they go to Bible study and they're seeing from what we understood, is that we reading the Bible, seeing all this amazing stuff, and then we're at our church looking around like
how come this isn't happening? Yeah, let's read the book of Acts, guys. And then we read Acts chapter 2. I remember being in college ministry, and like the person who was leading at that time, he was one of the pastor's sons, really good guy. And I remember him asking, like, do you think that this could actually happen today? He asked, like, if Acts chapter 2, do you think this could actually happen? And we were all like talking. I don't remember where the conversation went, but I don't think we said yes. I think we were like, this is really cool. I remember thinking like, this is really so cool. Yeah. Cool. They were all like sharing stuff together, and they were just loving each other.
Everybody
was helping. Everybody was so, yeah. Anyway, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Like it just, there's no way we can. And then I'm thinking about now, like, well, why not? Like, why do we think that it can't happen? The only reason it can't is because of us.
Yes.
We're the limitations. It's not God.
It's not God. And even it's because even in larger churches, it's so hard to do it. Yeah. I mean, even like I get
not impossible.
Not impossible. Like cell groups are great.
Small groups, life groups, small groups.
That's all
that
great.
Stuff is great.
But the thing about even those is you can't do it once a week.
Yeah, it's not intentional enough. It's not enough sacrifice.
Exactly.
And it's not enough life. It's not doing enough life together.
People need to be able to see you do something, and then they need to see how you react to hardship and failure. And like, even when you, like, the disciples got to see Jesus cry. How many people get to see their pastor cry?
Wow.
Probably never. Like, I think I've seen at my old church, I think I saw my pastor cry once in the 4 years that I was at the church. Just one time. I think about the times when I got to see like my pastor angry at a person, which is never got to see him like, or frustrated in how he dealt with the situation. There were so many things I didn't get to see, and not because he was like faking or anything. It just, I wasn't in that circle. Like, he had some people around him. I mean, I was associate minister, but I wasn't a part of that circle to see him in reality, in real life.
Human.
I didn't get to see it. And that made me think like, man, I don't know how I'm going to achieve that, but I want to get there. Wow. Like, I want to get to the point where my pastor's at, and just not understanding at all what discipleship was at the time. So doing it in a smaller setting, it just makes more sense. You get to see real life, and the benefits to me outweigh larger churches.
So let me continue, because you're going right into it. So it says, another reason we want the entry point to joining our church to be in the context of a small, intimate, intentional group of believers is so that there is no room to hide. Jeez. Each person's life is consistently being poked and prodded by someone. It means that each person is expected to be transparent with a few other believers about the things that they would want to hide, while those believers walk with them through healing, repentance, and believing the promises of God. There shouldn't be any room for people to just attend church when everyone is being discipled for life and ministry.
I told you you were gonna read this. I told you were gonna read this whole article.
I know, man. I'm sorry. I was like, no, we'll be fine. No, I can't. You can't skip. It's just, I mean, you can't argue with that.
You can.
Like, I don't see where you can. Like, so you have to read the other points, guys, to get the full picture of this. We're just reading one of 6 principles. They all are connected. And so we're kind of getting back to what we've been talking about since this podcast was ever started, which was like not big church, but small church, right? And I just...
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see how you could not... I don't know. Because think about this. We just attend churches. So what church do you go to? Not like you are the church. Like where you are literally in front of me.
Yeah.
So right now, this person is at church, quote unquote. Like
you're doing church.
Yeah. Like I'm being, not doing church. Yeah, I'm being the church. I am the church. We got to switch.
We are church.
That's what they call it that. Because we got to switch our thinking with our words. It's like, I'm not going to church. We're not doing church.
Yeah.
We are being church.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we be the church? So I think the best way to get this done is, and they talk about one of their next points, is like, we meet in houses.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's nothing wrong with a big central location.
No,
there's not. In fact, when you read their article, they actually do large gatherings once a month at a park.
Yes.
So they can bring all their network of house churches to one place, and they all meet in fellowship and do different things. So it's very necessary to have a central location to operate out of. I think it's good to organize people out of that. You can organize your giving and all kind. You got to have like a central base to do things out of. So if you have a building, if your church owns a building, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
at all. I would just caution you as far as like how much money and resources is going into this building.
Rather than the people.
If you have a $47 million building, that's 47 million people you probably could have helped. I don't know. My math is horrible on that, but
you know it's crazy. I mean, it's not, but with that mentality, like if you went down to house churches, you would have $47 million to give to people.
You could maybe spend a 200,000 on a building, or 400,000, or even at the most probably $1 million. If you're balling like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see how you would want to tie up $10-20 million, because that could go to helping a lot of people
and not a lot of building.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So again, you can always go to a park. You can rent out a school's cafeteria or gym. That's pretty cheap. I think that's a really great way to go, to have a place to meet. But the main thing that you do, your main, source of being a church is meeting in people's homes. And so what that looks like is like you have to evangelize and disciple your neighborhood.
Exactly. I mean, I wonder how many people have seen their pastor's house.
Wow.
Like not just been inside, but even know where it is.
I think the first time I went to my pastor's house, my old pastor's house, was for his son's wedding. It was the first time I actually went there. They got married there, and that was a few months before me and my wife got married. So this was like 2015. Okay, probably. Yeah, it was 2015. Oh my God, it wasn't that long ago. So I had been going to that church since '97. The first time I went to my pastor's house was 2015. First time I went there, like, because I was actually invited over for like other things. Was like probably 3 years later.
Wow.
So
and mind you, like you had a church that was, at one point was like 1,000 people. So I do understand, like, not everyone's gonna go to the pastor's house, and not everyone should, but you should be able to attend you should be able to be invited in people's homes. I think what we've gotten comfortable with is saying, no, let's meet anywhere else but my house.
Because that's my space.
Yeah.
It's private. And
I don't think I don't think Jesus ever designed us to do that.
Yeah.
To like not let people, because the truth is, the analogy that he uses for our hearts is a door. Jesus stands at the door and knocks. All you gotta do is let him in. And then it's like, man, okay, got it, Jesus. Now you're in. And now he's like, all right, the same way you open your door for me, I need you to open the door for others so that they can know you, not your church, not your church's programs. You are church.
They need to get to know the church, which is you. So,
and honestly, going back to, I don't want to go too far back up, but going back to what it looks like, it's someone being discipled and then discipling someone else. And if it's a new believer who's just been evangelized and they just accepted Christ, they're not discipling yet.
Right.
But they're being discipled.
Yes.
Intentionally to disciple.
Yes.
I feel like in all the churches this is just my experience, in the church that I grew up in, it was never, I'm being discipled so I can intentionally disciple someone else. I was being trained to be a preacher. I was trained to be a pastor. I was trained to be a youth leader, in other contexts, worship leaders. Like you're trained to do a job in the church.
In the church.
But you're never taught to be church to other people. And it's never talked about. It's not discussed.
You're taught to bring people to the church, Bring them to the building.
To the building.
Yeah.
Like, bring them to me.
And then pastor preach. You gotta come to my church. Come to my church. Come to my church.
How about you hear me
How about you
preach?
come to my home?
How about you come here? I can open the Word of God.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets missed for me. So many people are not. Some people who are non-believer, people who are hurting. I don't know if I ever mentioned, but there's a neighbor I used to have. She just moved away. Her name was Miss Mildred.
Miss Mildred.
There was no way I could invite her to my church. So she's in a wheelchair. And my church is in downtown Fresno. Yeah, so I go to AV, which is in my backyard, but it was COVID and all this kind of stuff. I couldn't invite her to that. And in the moment, like, my first response to her when she's like when we first started hanging out and talking about God was like, oh, I want to invite you. And I told her, I was like, man, if church were open, I would love for you to come to my church. And then God was like convicting me. He's like, she's not going to your church. She is at you. Like, you are church.
Yes.
Show her what it looks like. And for 4.5 months, man, we talked about God. We talked about the Bible. She gave her life to Christ. Like, she rededicated her life in front of me. And that was like my first introduction to, like, I don't know, bringing someone to Christ that I can remember. So, and that was intentional. Like, that was just like me being intentional. Like, okay, I want you to know Jesus. She rededicated her life. And then even after that, we had Bible studies, but they weren't like what we see at church, air quotes, church.
Right.
It's what you would see when you invite somebody over to show them something that you love. Like, if you're into model airplanes, you're going to describe, okay, this is what I did. And this is, and then this is where I got it from. And this is this, you're in love with what you do. So I'm in love with Jesus, and I'm showing her, like, why I geek out about Jesus. And it makes her, like, in the beginning, she was like, you're a little extra. And I was like, I'm really trying to be calm, because this is way more exciting than I'm trying to, like, but I'm trying to downplay it. And eventually she was like, well, can I read? Like, we're reading the Bible, and I'm always the one that's reading. And she's like, can I read? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead and read it. And, like, we're just reading through the Bible. I think at the time we were going through the book of Luke. And she just, like, things she never knew. The fact that, like, the 4 Gospels, she didn't know they were all different. She had no clue. She was like, it's the same story told different ways. I thought it was, like, completely different stories. Like, Matthew, and it's about Jesus, like, maybe like the first part of his ministry. And then Matthew, then Mark talks a little bit more. And then John talks about his death. That was her mindset.
Dude, I'm not going to name the person because it'd be really embarrassing for them. But someone that we both know was like, we had already read one gospel. And so we started another, and they were like, so it's weird that this happened twice in Jesus' life, the same story. And I was like, no. So this is the same story. So the gospels, there are 4, it's the same, it's one gospel, there's 4 accounts of the
4
same
different
gospel.
perspectives.
And they were like, wait, what?
Dude, the way Miss Mildred's face lit up, she was just like, no way. Her words.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
I got to leave the whole town?
I loved it. But that was my first introduction to, like, intentional discipleship, man.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, number one, it changed me completely. Like, when I think about discipleship, I don't want to do it based on a program or based on based on a set schedule. Like, Miss Mildred came through whenever she wanted.
9 o'clock at night.
Whenever she wanted. And I just had to be ready for whenever. And at times, like, did it get hard? Was it messy?
Yeah.
It was.
But she's your neighbor.
She was literally my neighbor.
Yeah, man. I think that's something that I cannot wait. I'm really trying to start in my neighborhood right now. I've been here for a few months, and I'm getting to know a lot of neighbors. Had a lot of conversation with neighbors, and so, like, we're gonna get to the point where we're like, hey, come over for dinner, and hopefully, we can just try to get it to come up naturally, like talk about God and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I'm super excited to do that, man. Let me just read one last piece of this. Oh, it's actually the last piece. Okay, let's go ahead, God. We got like 3 minutes left.
No way.
It goes by so fast.
Oh my God.
How has it been an hour? I have no idea. But anyway, so discipleship is taking responsibility for the spiritual care of somebody else. It doesn't mean you're the only one invested in that person, but it does mean you should be aware of what's going on in their life. Discipleship is life on life. Like, it's one-on-one, like life on life. If you're discipling someone, have them be around you
a lot.
Discipleship doesn't happen with one-on-one coffee dates once a week.
Come on.
You need to be around each other and observe each other's lives.
Fam, ain't that the icing on the cake? Because if I'm going back to Miss Mildred in our relationship, like, I mean, I miss her. Like, there are times that I'm just like, and her phone is off right now, so I'm just like, I know she lives like near Blackstone and Shaw, but I just don't know where exactly. But I miss her, and I'm like, dang. And I pray for her. I'm like, God, would you just, because at first she had lost her apartment, and like that was devastating, and she was living with a friend, or she was living with her niece, and then her niece wasn't even wasn't treating her right at all. But that's another thing. And then she was able to get a spot where I told you on Blackstone and Shaw, and it's just like, man, I'm like, even now I'm like, if she shows up to my door, I'm gonna be so happy. Like, I'm probably gonna pick her up out of her wheelchair and be like, Mildred. But the fact that like I got to see her life, man, and like even like we didn't, in my standards, we didn't do a whole bunch for her, like, but to her, we gave. She said, this is one thing I'll never forget. She was, we had, AV had just bought air conditioners for her house. It was like 110 degrees, and her AC at her apartment complex wasn't working for a long time. And we bought her AC units, and then I went to go install them. And I remember she looked at me, and she was like, I don't know how to say this, but I love you. And I was like, huh, I love you too, Miss Mildred. Yeah. And then she was like, no, like, you've done more for me in these few months than my family's done for me in years. And I'm like, we haven't even done that. Like, to me, I haven't done that much. And she was like, I can't wait to meet the people at the church. Like, I want to meet everyone. I just want to say thank you to everyone who like helped me. Like, there is so much that you have done for me. And I know like it's because of God. And you told me over and over that you don't do this because of you. You do it because of God. And I'm like, that is facts. It's the truth. Because if it was up to me, I wouldn't. But you have shown, she has shown me something, that discipleship, one, it works. Like, this type of discipleship works. And I don't know where she is right now, but I know that God is still looking after her.
Yes.
Like, I can feel it in my spirit that God is taking care of her in some way, shape, or form. And if God ever gives the ability to come back together, I'm going to rejoice over that. Even if she's in sin, even if she's like struggling, I'm still going to rejoice that God, and I'll probably rejoice even more because it's like, you brought her back because she was falling away from you. That's going to be my response. Yeah. But you can't do that if you don't see the life of someone. You can't feel this way about someone.
Know what they're going through.
Because you won't, if we're honest, and I know we got to go, but if we're honest, it is difficult to care about something you're not a part of.
It's very easy to not care about what my neighbors are going through, or people at my church are even going through. It's very easy for me to just be like, not check up on Braulio and see how him and Emily are doing. It's easy for me to not, just know what different people are going through that I quote unquote attend church with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if we're like literally like in each other's lives, like, and I mean, if we're honest, you live across the street from me or you live next door to me, like,
I'm going to see about you.
Like it's, I think that's the thing that we've got to get closer to, instead of like, we all come from heck of places to come to some place. We just be the church where we're at.
Facts.
And we let people around us that are literally next to us, our actual neighbors.
Because I don't believe that. I mean, I guess in context, you could say that when Jesus said your neighbor didn't mean like your direct neighbor. But a lot of that he said.
Yeah, you can make it practical too, also. Like,
even more so.
No, but the person that lives next door to you, though,
because I'm too. Like, back then they didn't have cars,
right?
So the world was super small. Like, walking to someone's house,
days.
Like, I'm gonna walk days to go see this. Like, it would take
different towns.
Yeah, if someone lives in Tulare and then you live in Fresno, like, your neighbor can be someone in Tulare.
7 days journey,
but it's like, I'm not letting that happen.
Yeah, but if I'm in Jerusalem or if I'm in Corinth or Ephesus or Thessalonica or whatever, like, the people around me that I see every day,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense to, let's do church together. Let's be the church together. Let's do life together.
I just feel like they
Come meet in my house.
They knew that though.
Yeah, and I forget what letter it is, and even what the girl's name was. I think I want to say like Lystra or Lydia or some woman. Like Paul says like the church in her house.
Oh yeah.
That she was having a church in her. She was a rich merchant woman, and like she literally, you can imagine the people that came to her house were like the people around her, the homeless people, the orphans, the other people at the market, other merchants, the people who sell stuff, maybe
next to her,
whatever, next to her. They're all coming to her house on Sundays because it's the Lord's Day for supper. And then you also have some Jews who they did the Sabbath the day before they come over, and they're all talking. And then I heard on the Bible Project, they were saying like, and you can imagine like someone who's new to this, like a Jew. Yeah, who's like just heard about this whole thing, and they come or like even a non-Jew, like some Roman person.
Yeah,
and they're freaking out because they're like, I've like literally Lydia's slaves are also eating at the table. Yes. Her slaves' family, their kids, they're all like, I've never eaten at the table as a slave. I've never eaten the same table as a slave before. Like, whoa,
what is happening?
How come all these different people, different socioeconomic backgrounds, were all equals? What the heck? This is blowing my mind. Like, I mean, we could do that, man.
I mean, imagine this is something that you don't see often, especially like in prominent neighborhoods where people have money and whatnot. Imagine blocking off your street because the whole neighborhood has agreed that we're all gonna sit and have dinner, and you buy fold-up chairs and you put them in the street. This is my vision that I've had a couple of times already, and literally every household comes out. Fam, folks would be like, anyone who drove past would be like, what the heck? What is going on over here?
We probably have to ask the HOA, but that would be dope. I was literally, when we were outside before we came inside, there was that Asian family.
Yeah.
And they were walking walking down the street and saying hi and stuff like that. I'm just like, they live like on the corner on the same street as us. There's like Rosemary. There's like,
and imagine, I mean, this is just because I'm a foodie. I think about Rosemary. She's Hispanic. I'm sure she can throw down the kitchen. Think about the Asian family. Like, I'm sure they can throw down.
Yeah, there's a Filipino family across from them.
Lumpia?
Oh,
like, and then like us being it, like we just cook whatever, and you have this neighborhood park. Like, I'm just like, imagine what people around would say. And I remember this is something that we learned in training too, and this is the last thing I'll say. We learned that Jesus died on the cross naked. He looked ridiculous. Like, he got naked in front of his mom, his brothers, like hanging from the cross. And like, we find it very difficult
to look ridiculous
for him.
Yeah, he did it for us.
But we can't return the favor. I'm like, and even us looking ridiculous for him does not even compare. We don't have to be naked.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, knock on a door, and I'm not even saying this to the listener, I'm saying this to myself.
Yeah.
Knock on a door. Hi, my name is Brandon. This may sound ridiculous. I live right next door. I want to know if you're free on Friday. I'm going to cook, and I was wondering if you want to have dinner with me in my backyard. Yeah, I don't know if I have. In my mind, I'm like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah. I
have to get on the other side of the fear, number one, of being rejected, but they're not going to be rejecting me, especially if I'm prayed up going.
Yeah.
Like, I believe me being prayed up, and I go to this one house, and if I'm honest, I just trust that God would, the first person that I actually do it to, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm free. For sure. What are you cooking? Whoever it is, I just feel like God is already working on them. And then when I go and be obedient, they're going to already be willing to come. And if they're not, that God would even give me the strength to go to the next house and be like, hey, I invited a dude, but he didn't want to come. Would you like to come to dinner at my house? What are you making? Whatever I'm making. I'm going to do it. Yep. Next Preacher's Hour podcast, we will be talking about how this went.
Yeah, man. Well, we hope this was helpful, guys. Hopefully it made you think. I'm going to post the link in the description. Click on it. Go read the whole thing. Read all their practices, and just think about it. Yeah, that's all we're saying. You could be like, no, I'm not. This is stupid. Okay, that's fine, but at least just consider it. Just give it a chance. So
it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
but it is.
Yeah. Anyway, you know where me and Brandon stand at. But Shout out to all the churches, big churches, small churches,
Yeah.
house churches. Yeah, we love
Keep doing the
kingdom,
will of the
man.
Father.
Keep doing what God's telling you to do. And yeah, man, 2 more for this season, guys.
Sheesh.
2 more, man.
Hey, let's just hype it up real quick. So on our 52nd episode, we'll be having Pastor Carl on that thing. And,
I just texted him today. I sent him the patient episode.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, man, I'm so excited to watch this. I'm super excited. And I was just like, hey, we're excited to have you on the 18th. He's like, yeah, is there going to be any questions or are we going to free flow? I'm like, I'm going to send you questions next week.
Okay.
So I'm going to send them the questions ahead of time. But yeah, man, like that is, I don't know what we talk about next week, but I'm thinking about the 18th. That's all I'm thinking about. So
we're just going to we'll have a repeat of another.
just replay. Yeah, man.
We should do a segment where we're like, that'd be dope.
We're going to have to do something because we'll talk about off air, guys.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see y'all next time. Love y'all.
All right. Peace.
Peace.